What's up guys, Volt here bringing you a brand new Fast and Furious car remake. In today's remake, I'm bringing you the 2000 Nissan Silvia S15 Spec-R that David Parker drives in Fast and Furious. The fourth movie or fourth video of the Fast and Furious franchise, and it is a background car. That is right, this is not a high, popular antagonist, protagonist, villain, hero, type car. It is more or less a background type car. This was driven or was owned by the guy known as David Parker in the movie. He was the one that was running cars for Braga and setting up races for the to actually run for Braga. So that's how Dom and Brian found out. Brian kind of saved his life. Dom was beating the crap out of him, and yeah, this is the car that it was. Now in the FBI listing, they actually had this as a modified 240SX. So that would be, I would guess, more or less closer to an S13, but the actual car used for the actual real life car that he had was an S15, and it was pretty much a S15, which is really cool. And I thought the Nissan Previon was actually going to make a really decent build for this. Again, this was a background car. I don't do too many of these, but I did get a request for it, maybe even a few requests for it, and if I can find those, I will put those on screen right now. So thank you very much for that. I was planning on making this car at some point because I thought it'd be a good idea, good build for the Previon, because I do also want to make Sean's S15 at the end of Tokyo Drift when he races Dom, which it's better known as the Quicksilver car. I think the Nissan Previon has a livery for it. Unfortunately, it is not released yet, so I can't build it. So I thought I would make David Parker's car first and just kind of go from there. Overall, I like how it turned out, and it actually fits the build pretty well. A lot better than the Remus would for the S15, but unfortunately I cannot make the Mona Lisa car out of this because it doesn't have a livery or anything relatively close to the stripe for the Mona Lisa car. So unfortunate, and I'm sorry, but I can only do and build what I can with what I'm given. So as we're always going to do, we're going to start off with the base price. So you want to go to the internet, you want to go to the travel and transport website. You want to go down to the Southern San Andreas Brothers website, and you want to find yourself the Karin Previon, part of the Los Santos Tuners update. Now, if you do not have the trade price, it's going to be $1,490,000. If you do have the trade price, like I have here, it's going to be $1,117,500. For this car and this build, it actually is a pretty decent drift build as well as a race build. And the customization is pretty good on it. You can make some decent builds with it, and I do like the car overall. I think it's based on a Lexus or a Toyota of some sort, or maybe even like a Honda Prelude or something along those lines. But it does have the body style and fits a little bit better as an S15 in my personal opinion. I know it's not the S15 in all its glory, but it's a better version than the Nissan Remus for this build, or even the LG Retro Custom. But again, for $1,117,500, it's actually a pretty decent price. It's almost under $1 million for this car, and customization-wise, it's pretty decent. Overall, I think it's pretty good. So grab your car, grab your color, and meet me at the Los Santos Car Meet location, which is the new location I would do all my builds in. If you ever see me in this spot, just know that I'm doing a video, recording a video, getting ready to do a video, or something to do with a video in general. So just let you know that, and let's just get into the customization of the beauty. So as we pull in, the Karin Previon is in the coupe category. That's right, it is a coupe car. Now you're probably wondering, why isn't it a sports car? I couldn't really tell you that, but I do know that apparently this is the new top end car for the coupe class. So if you do want to have if you ever do a coupe race or something, this will be the car you want to get. It is actually really good in performance, customization, speed, acceleration, handling, all that stuff. So, as I go over all my builds, I go over the overall look, the visual appearance, and the basic design, the car, and how it's portrayed in the movie, game, or anywhere else in general itself. Anything I don't go over is completely up to you. I just put a few staples in if you want to create my build, or take some things from my build and add to your car that you may have missed or don't know about, then you're more than welcome to. So without further ado, let's just get into the build. So to start things off, we're going to go to bumpers. You want to go to the front bumper, and you want to put on the street front bumper. Now I think that this fits the best because it has the kind of 3 holes on the front bumper. On his car, he actually had a custom body kit, or a special body kit to it. Unfortunately, we cannot kind of make that in this game. It's kind of sad. It would be awesome if we could, but this is about the closest thing you can get for the front bumper, and the street front bumper I think fits relatively the best. After that, we move on to the rear bumpers. You want to just keep that stock rear bumper. It didn't have a diffuser on it, and there's no like body kit for the back end, or a rear bumper body kit part, so unfortunately you just got to keep that stock. From there, we move on to the engine. Now this is my own take on what I thought was actually in the engine. I think I mainly kept it all stock, but maybe I've changed a few things. So here's what I went with. Again, you can go with whatever you want. This was a background car. We never saw what was inside of it. We also never really saw what was in the interior as well. But if you guys have any information on any of that, let me know down in the comment section down below with some video proof or picture proof or some kind of proof in general. Engine block, I kept stock. The rail covers, I also kept stock. The strut brace, I went with the titanium strut brace. And for the air filters, I kept that stock too. Now I do want to note that this is probably also for Sean's S15 build too. I was kind of going off of that for this build. So most of it is stock. I don't think any of it would change since they're both in S15. But this is what I went with for that. And I think I'm just going to keep this the same thing for David Parker's car. From there, move on to the exhaust. You want to go for the street exhaust. Unfortunately, again, just like most cars, it has the dual exhaust. Not a big fan of it, but it's all we can do. But the street exhaust is the biggest, widest, the chromed out version of the exhaust that we want. So that is the best choice for me that I could go with, because you don't want to go for the titanium, even though they are a lot wider. You just want to kind of keep that street exhaust with the chrome design to it. From there, move on to the fenders. You want to go for the primary front fenders, and you also want to go for the primary rear fenders. Again, it had a sort of wide body kit style to it, and the sad thing is our wheels do not fit it in the least. As you can see here, if I go actually remove it, it makes it a little bit better for the fitment for the tires and everything and the rims, but if you add it on there, it just juts it out a little bit. This is the way you want the car to look. You want the primary rear fenders, the primary front fenders as well, kind of give that wide body, kind of like body style type look to it. But again, the fitment on the cars in GT Online is terrible. Hopefully in the enhanced and expanded version, we get something that works a little bit better for that. We can maybe justify it or something like that. From there, move on to the intercoolers. I went with the custom intercooler. He has a big intercooler, front mounted intercooler in the front of his car. Again, I'm only going to be referencing a few pictures. He doesn't have a logo on it or, water sprayer or fans or anything. And it definitely didn't not have one at all. It definitely had one. So you do want to make sure you put that custom intercooler in there. From there, we move on to the headlights. I just kept them stock. Again, I don't think I'm ever going to change these. You can change these for like show cars if you want to make them, but for builds like this, they're pretty much always going to be stock. From there, we move on to the hood, and we move on to the hood catches. I kept with none. I didn't see any hood catches that I could notice. With two pictures, it's kind of hard to tell if he had hood catches or not, and I couldn't really find any real life pictures of the car after the movie or before the movie even. I just couldn't find anything about it, so I just kept with none. Didn't want to waste the money, didn't see the point in doing so I just stuck with none. After that, we move on to the actual hood itself. I went with the carbon tuner hood. His hood was a carbon fiber, a VIS carbon fiber hood, and it had like the kind of same design as Brian's R34 from Fast and Furious, the fourth movie, the blue one that I built. It had kind of that same like U-shaped design, but it also had like two vent slots in the middle and not just like four like this build here. But I still think this hood here fits the best. Again, if you don't think this one fits the best, another option that you could probably go with, which actually would work really well too, would be the carbon street hood. Kind of the same design, it just has like a smaller vent to it. But I still think that the carbon tuner hood is the better option. And again, his hood was a carbon fiber hood. It just looked really cool, and it just add more flair to the actual car in general. After that, move on to the interior. Now again, we don't get to see what is going on in the interior. These are just a few things that I changed up. Again, you're more than welcome to change a few things up, but again, it was a background car. We didn't really get to see what was in the car, under the hood, in the interior, or anything like that. So just kind of use your brain a little bit and say, you're supposed to be an electric street racer. You don't think you would have like a stripped out interior. So, just kind of keep it, I would say, more or less stock, but you can add a few extra little things here and there. So we go to the dash. I went with the full colored interior just to kind of match the interior in general. You could go with a stock dash, but it kind of lightens it up a little bit. I want to keep it, the graphite color that I have for the, I think it's trim color, I believe. And I just think the full colored interior looks really good. After that, move on to the dials. Now, this is my own take on this. From the pictures that I was actually presenting in the video, as you can see, you don't see any like mounted Tasho gauges or anything, so that's why I didn't go for the Tasho gauges. They're not mounted there. Plus, I didn't see, couldn't really tell if there was any on the left-hand side over here by the windowsill that a lot of cars do, or a lot of people do for their cars. So I kind of went with the kind of stealth outlook with the dash gauges right there in the front. Again, you can't really see them, but I think they add a little bit more flair to the design. Plus, it's not too much more money. If you want to spend the money on that, you can. If you just want to keep it stock, you're more than welcome to. And if you want to go all out and add all 3 or all 2, then you're more than welcome to, or just add a single Tasho gauge, that's more than welcome to too. Again, just kind of use your best judgment on the interior. From there, move on to the doors. I just kept them stock. Pretty much a street racer would keep their doors stock. They wouldn't like strip them out or anything. This would be more for like a drift build. From there, move on to the seats. I went with the carbon sport seats. They kind of like blend into the background, so you can't see them through the windows. And again, from the picture, like the background picture, you can't really see them from the windows, so there you go for that. I also think that I didn't see any straps on the seats. I kind of looked the best I could in those pictures, and I couldn't see any straps, so I didn't go for this, like the tuner seats or the painted bucket seats or anything like that. So I just kind of kept with the stock seats. Again, they are kind of a racer style seat, but they're color painted to carbon now. If you want to go for a little bit of a cheaper option, you could go with the painted sport seats, but again, you could kind of see them through the back end of the car. And from the picture I showed of the back end of the car, you can't really see inside the car, and or you can't really see the back side of the seats. So I just kind of went with the carbon sport seats. I think they just kind of darken out and just blend in with the windows. From there, move on to the steering wheel. Again, I don't really know what steering wheel he had on it. Didn't really see anything about it. So the thing I went for was the Sprint Basic. Just a kind of basic Sparko steering wheel. A street racer would have an upgraded steering wheel for the most part. Maybe they would keep it stock, and again, you can also keep it stock, or you can even upgrade all the way you want to like the Xbox controller style stock wheel. You can pretty much put any kind of wheel on it you want. Again, use your best judgment. I don't think you would have something like this. This would be more like a race car wheel, personally. I would go with either stock, like maybe an Apex Basic, or like a Sprint Basic is my 3 best options. I just went with the Sprint Basic because it's kind of like a Sparko steering wheel, and that's mainly what most people run in their cars. After that, move on to the roll cage. From the pictures I saw, I didn't see no roll cage. Maybe it had a half cage, but I highly doubt it. As Brian's walking by, you cannot see a roll cage in there, so I personally am not going to add one. After that, move on to the lights. You want to go to headlights. You just want to keep them stock. Again, an older style car, older style lights. You wouldn't want to put xenons or white lights on this. This would be more for higher end cars, McLaren, Lamborghini, Bugatti, things of that sort. After that, move on to the neon kits. Neon layout's going to be none because I didn't see any neon. Doesn't mean he didn't have neon on his car, but I did not see any neon. It was during the day when they had their scene for the car. So unfortunately, I didn't add any neon. I think it would look really cool with neon, but I didn't see any. So I would just keep it with none. Save the money, don't spend it on neon. After that, move on to the livery. Unfortunately, his car was really clean, and a lot of the cars, I talked to one of the guys that actually is, subscribed to my channel, enjoys my builds, does his own builds of his own sort, and a little bit more accurate than me, I would say, but doesn't make any videos on it. And he said that the cars that actually are really relatively clean actually look a lot better in the game than the ones that actually have liveries, and I have to agree. This one was really clean. It didn't have much going on it. The only thing it had was a bunch of, I would say, sponsors like Bride. I think there was a few other ones on there, like a few on the windshield, a few on the side window, maybe even some on the back, but I'm not really sure about that. I'm not looking at a picture right now, so I can't really tell you. But yeah, he had a lot of sponsor stickers, and that's kind of why I went to Sunstrip. But there was no livery on the car, so I would just keep it with none. From there, we move on to the mirrors. I just kept with the stock mirrors. Again, wouldn't change it, wouldn't spend more money on the secondary, and I definitely wouldn't change it to carbon because they weren't black or carbon. After that, move on to the plate. Again, guys, I did get my custom plates back, and this is the custom plate on his car. So you want to go with the blue and white 2, and the custom plate you want to go for is IE49975. Again, that is IE49975. And again, this is the custom plate on the car in the movie, and I guess you could say in real life as well. And I thought it would just fit the best. Again, I went for the blue and white 2 because it is a California style plate, and I was kind of going off of the plate that was on my R34 and that the one that Brian drove in the movie, so I could kind of get an idea of where they were at per se, like in the movie. Like if it was a California plate, then I would use a California plate. If it was more like a Florida plate, I would probably use a blue and white 1. If it was more like a Tokyo Drift plate or over in Tokyo, I would use like a blue and white 3. You know, you just kind of use your own guess and estimate on the plate. But as the custom plate, again, there it is. And again, blue and white 2. Best option for a California style plate in my personal opinion. Same respray for last. We move on to the roof. You just want to keep the stock roof. It didn't have a roof scoop, which is very good. I'm glad they kind of bumped away from the roof scoops in certain cars. Certain cars kind of needed it, but certain cars it would just kill it in my personal opinion. So yeah, just keep with the stock roof. After that, move on to the skirts. I went with the street race setup skirts. Main reason I went for this is because, again, he had a kind of style body kit to it. You know, the skirts kind of went down, but they were a little bit boxy. They had like a certain kind of design to them. Unfortunately, there's no design like that for this car, other than maybe like the street skirts, but they don't go down far enough in my personal opinion. So the ones I went for are the street race setup skirts. I think they fit the best, and I think they look the best. After that, we move on to the splitters. I just went with none. His body kit came just like the front body kit didn't have a lip or any kind of canards or like a splitter or anything on it. So I would just personally stick with none. After that, move on to the spoiler. I went with the small spoiler. Again, I think this is the best choice. I believe it. I also used this for possibly Mia Toretto's car in the very first movie for her Acura. This car could also be used as an Acura, just, you know, kind of design wise, but her Acura was a 4-door, just to let you know that. If you guys didn't watch my video or build on that. But I think this wing actually fits the best, or the spoiler fits the best. It is color coded. It looks almost like the one that's actually in the movie, or, you know, actually on the car. And it just screams it fits this build very well. Again, this is another reason why I think that this car and this build actually works really good for this choice of design. After that, move on to the sun strips. I went with the black power metal sun strip. He had a lot of sponsors on his windows, on the side of his windows, on his windshield and things like that. I think he had even like a sponsored like sun strip. So the one I went for to kind of give it a little more depth on the window and kind of give it more of an idea like sponsors on the window is the black power metal sun strip. It is the most expensive, but I think it's like maybe no more than $5,000. And it is, I think it just fits the best. It looks really, really great on this car, and it just kind of brings it all together. With nothing on it, it just seems a little too plain, but with that sun strip, it just adds a little bit more definition to the actual car and the build. From there, move on to the suspension. I went with a lowered suspension. Now with this car, again, it cambers out the more you go down. The lowest I would go personally would be no more than a street. I went for a lowered because it does camber out a bit, and if you actually look at the pictures I'm posting, which is going to be like this angle here, you'll see that the tires are pretty much straight up and down. He actually has a decent bit of play in like the wheel well area as well, so I didn't want to lower it too much. And this is default. This is not lowered, like, you know, as in like the lowered settings in the vehicle menu. So yeah, I think this fits the best. It still drives really good on this setting, but you know, it can probably drive pretty good on like cambered look and all that. But I would say, again, no more than street. So I just went with a lowered. There's not much difference between the two. It just kind of cambers a little bit more and just lowers it by maybe like an inch or so. So I would just personally go lowered, but your choice on what you want to do. You can keep it stock, lowered, or street. So take your pick on whatever you want to do. After that, move on to the turbo. I did add a turbo because I feel like a street racer, you know, having illegal mods on his car, he would have a turbo of some sort on it. I could be wrong, but I would just add a turbo in general because it does, you know, boost up your performance, its acceleration, your top speed, and all that stuff. So in my personal opinion, I would just add a turbo. After that, we move on to the wheels. You want to go to wheel type, you want to go down to the sport category, you want to go down to the chrome rims, and you want to put on the chrome Oozer rims. I think these fit the best, mainly because the rims that he had on his car were supposedly Volk Racing 18-inch rims. And if you actually look at the Volk 18-inch rims, the actual rim design kind of looks like this. They fit the car really nice. I like the design for them. They look a lot better than most. And there's actually a rim in the game that looks relatively close to the actual real-life rim. So this is why I chose the chrome Oozer rims. Wheel color is going to be chrome, so we can't change that. After that, move on to the tires. Tire design, there's no custom tires, so don't worry about adding that. From there, we move on to the tire enhancements. You can add bulletproof tires on if you wish. More realistic if you don't. Also, I wouldn't add low grip tires. It wasn't a drift car. It was more of a legal street racing car slash like drug running car. So I would say they probably wouldn't have drift tires on personally. So I would just stick with either standard tires, or again, if you really wanted to, add bulletproof tires. And tire smoke is going to be white tire smoke. Last before the respray is windows, and you just want to put a dark smoke on. Now, I was thinking about a limo tint, I really was, but in certain lighting and certain pictures, well, there's not many pictures, but in the pictures, you can kind of see through the window. I could say you probably could go for a limo tint if you really wanted to. Illegal street racing, most of the legal street racers have like a very dark window tint, so they can't see inside, you know, see what they're running, see what they're working with and all that stuff, and see who is inside. But I want to go with a dark smoke. I think it's just a little bit more subtle, and it just kind of fits the bill a little bit better. It definitely didn't have no tint at all. Like, it had tint, so I mean, like a light smoke probably will work pretty well too. My three best options: light smoke, dark smoke, or limo. Me personally, I'm gonna go with a dark smoke. It's just not as dark as limo, and it's just a little bit lighter. Light smoke, I just feel like it isn't enough for an illegal street racer, and most of the, like I said, legal street racing Fast and Furious builds have either like a limo or like a dark type tint to them. So I would just personally go with dark smoke, but your choice on what you want to do. Alright, and I will see you guys in 2 seconds with a rolled steel primer color. Alright, and we're back. As you can see, I have my car and my primer got rolled steel. Pretty much what I always do for all my builds. That way you know if it's an LSC color, a custom crew color. That way I don't lie to you and say it's an LSC color, but it's actually a custom crew color. Either you need to add the hex code to your own crew and put it on your own crew, or join my crew, become part of the family, and, you know, request it, or maybe it might even be on there as, you know, you're watching this video now. So there you go. And yeah, I mean, it is a custom crew color this time. It is a metallic gray is what I came up with, and I think it turned out really nice. Again, this is not the custom crew color. This is rolled steel, which is, it almost looks like the custom crew color a little bit, but the custom crew color has a different kind of tone in the sun as well as at night. So what we're going to go is we're going to go to the primary color. You want to go down to the crew, and you want to put the crew color over top on the primary. Now again, I will be putting the hex code and the RGB down in the description below, as well as the hex code on screen right now for it. So there you go. And all you want to do is just hit that crew color and place it right over top. So there you go. As you can see, it darkened it out a little bit more from the rolled steel that it actually had on. So we're going to apply that. From there, move on to the secondary color. You just want to go down to the crew, and you just want to put that right over top as well. What this does is it's actually going to change the brake caliper, as you can see. And personally, I don't really know what else it changes other than, I guess, the door frame or the door handles. So the things I would say would just be going with the custom crew color. So just go there and apply that to your secondary as well. So there you go. They're both free, so you don't have to worry about wasting money on those, which is very nice. Now, usually I would actually not add a pearlescent to this car at all, but in this case I actually am, and it's not going to be too overpowering. There's no livery that it really affects. The only thing it does affect is the hood a little bit. As you can see, it's really dark on the hood right now. So if I go to primary, we go to pearlescence, and we start going down, you'll see a little bit of shine actually appear on the hood. Now, to me, it doesn't really matter all that much. I can't really tell all that much, and most people aren't going to really care about it all that much either. But if you want to add a little bit more shine to the actual car and make it a lot more vibrant in the daytime, I would personally add a bluish silver to it. Again, if you really wanted to, you could actually make it really vibrant and add a nice white to it, but it adds a lot more shine to the actual hood. I kind of went with a more subtle look with the bluish silver. It's not as vibrant as the ice white, but it's still pretty vibrant and, you know, decently bright enough on it. If you really wanted to, you could kind of go with a more subtle look with maybe like a black or a dark steel. That way it doesn't affect the hood too much, and it does give a little bit of a depth shine to it. But me personally, I'm going to stick with what I had on it, which was a bluish silver. From there, we move on to the trim color. I just kept with graphite. Again, graphite's pretty much the go-to color for most interiors of the cars. And from there, we move on to the accent color. I just kept an ice white because, again, just like the dials and the gauges and all that, it just changes to an ice white, which I think fits really the best. And that is it. That's how you recreate the 2000 Nissan Silvia S15 Spec-R that David Parker drives in Fast and Furious. Again, a background car. I don't do too many of these, but I thought the car actually looked really cool. I thought the Previon would actually work really well for it after doing a little bit of customization during a live stream and everything. And again, I got some requests for it, so hopefully they enjoyed the build for this. I really do like how the color turned out. It took me a little bit to get this color. I had it for Sean's S15, the Quicksilver at the end of the movie that he races Dom in, or was supposed to race Dom in, but they cut it out, which is very sad. Wish we could have seen that race. But I did kind of tweak it a little bit, and I played around with the metallic gray custom crew color quite a bit. So let's go back to our parking spot. Alright, now that we're back in our parking spot, you probably noticed that the actual engine had a more raspier engine, more like a V8. That is because underneath the hood is a V8. That is the sad part. It is not, a JDM type engine, which is very sad. An RB26 or, anything like that. It's not. It should be, but it's not. Again, it's based on something, I would say, more along the lines of a Lexus or some kind of Toyota or possibly even a Honda Prelude. I'm kind of like making my assumption more towards the Lexus because it has a V8 in it, but that is just me. Let's see what time it is. It is 5 o'clock in the morning. So let's go outside. It should be, I would say, nice and vibrant out. Well, not vibrant. It's actually probably going to be pretty dark out, so we'll go back in passive. We'll exit the LS car meet. So it seems like it is still pretty dark out. I'll wait till the sun comes up. I'll do a little spin right here, and then I will do a transition to the sun at the very end. But as you can see, this is the metallic gray custom crew color in all its glory at, I would say, kind of close to nighttime. So you can see what it looks like now, and then I will, cut to the actual sunlight here once you see at the end. Alright, so as you guys can see, I waited till daytime to actually get this, to spin around outside so you guys can actually see the metallic gray on this. I think it looks great. You guys can let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. But again, this is the custom crew color that I came up with, the metallic gray. And RGB and hex code will be down in the description below, as well as on screen throughout the video at some point. So, there you go. So let's just go for a little drive. Again, this car is relatively fast, handles pretty good, and if you actually want to make a drift build out of it, it is possible, and it is a lot of fun. So for being a background car and, kind of like an underwhelming car that you didn't even see, actually, you didn't even hear it race, you didn't even see it race, you didn't see it move, it just sat there as Brian came up behind it and everything. I think this car turned out really nice in game, and in real life, S15s are like instantly awesome, like 100% awesome. So there you go. But I think that's gonna be it for the build. So as always, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment down in the comment section down below for what build you want me to do next. Just one, guys, just one. And if I decide to make your build, I'll let you know. If I can't make your build, I'll also let you know. I don't want to give you false hope or false gratification of saying, oh yeah, I can make the build, but I can't. It's not possible. There's no car in the game that looks like it, no car in the game that has the same modifications. When I build cars, I try to find the same modifications as well as the same kind of car style that it looks like, or kind of the same kind of design it has to it. And if there's nothing in the game that kind of represents that, I'm not going to probably try to make the build. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the car down in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys think about the color down there as well. And yeah, with all that being said, thanks for all the love, thanks for all the support, thanks for being part of the family, part of the crew. So I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.